This happened a few years ago, when my ex and I were exploring the UK. We ended up in a not-so-glamorous part of town, waiting for a train to take us back to our hotel. A woman, looking like she'd stepped out of a horror movie, was the only other soul on the platform. Skinny, with a wild look in her eye, she mumbled to herself, her appearance a stark contrast to the sleek city folk we were used to. We ignored her, trying to pass the time playing cards. The train arrived, and we boarded, finding seats away from her. But fate had other plans. She plopped down in the seat directly in front of us, her cackling laugh echoing through the carriage. She started talking to my ex, offering him a proper job in exchange for money. Confusion and fear washed over us, her words slurred and aggressive. The conductor, a beacon of sanity amidst the chaos, managed to calm her down, her threats muffled into incoherent mumbling. Finally, our stop arrived, and we escaped, the woman's menacing figure fading into the distance. We found a pub, a haven of normality in the midst of the chaos. But our relief was short-lived. Exiting the pub, we spotted her, flanked by two burly-looking men. Fear propelled us back into the pub, the door slamming shut behind us. We waited, our hearts pounding, until we heard their footsteps fading into the distance. That night, sleep was a distant memory. The encounter with the woman and her menacing entourage left us shaken, the memory burned into our minds. We never saw them again, thankfully, but the experience left an indelible mark on our travels. This happened a few years ago, when I was visiting my family back home. My friend had offered to pick me up from the train station, a place that usually buzzed with activity, but on this particular day, felt eerily quiet. As I waited on the platform, two things caught my attention: a group of guys stumbling around like they were fresh out of a frat party, and a lone woman, sitting on a bench, her eyes fixed on me. The guys, clearly intoxicated, started catcalling me, their words slurred and aggressive. I ignored them, hoping they'd lose interest. But they didn't. Instead, they started walking towards me, their intentions clear. Luckily, I spotted my friend's car pulling up. I sprinted towards it, the guys hot on my heels. My friend, ever the hero, intervened, the two groups locked in a tense standoff. The guys, realizing they weren't going to get their way, retreated, disappearing into the night. I was shaken to the core, my heart pounding in my chest. The encounter left me rattled, the memory of those menacing figures burned into my mind. It was a stark reminder that even in familiar places, danger can lurk in the shadows, waiting to strike. This happened a few years ago, when I was just a kid, exploring the local commons with my family. The commons were our go-to escape, a sprawling green space that offered a welcome break from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. On this particular day, the sun was shining, the birds were singing, and everything seemed perfectly normal. Until we encountered him. A middle-aged man, sprawled out on the train tracks, a scene so bizarre it almost felt like a surreal dream. As we approached, he jumped up, a smile plastered on his face, striking up a conversation with my family. Something about him felt off, a dark undercurrent lurking beneath the surface. My family member, always the cautious one, engaged him in conversation, a silent alarm ringing in my head. The man's demeanor took a sudden turn, his smile fading, replaced by a menacing glint in his eyes. He issued a chilling warning, his words a stark contrast to his previous demeanor. We hurried away, the encounter leaving a bitter taste in our mouths. The woods, once a place of solace, now felt ominous. The eerie silence was punctuated by an unsettling sound, a blood-curdling scream, echoing through the trees. We raced back towards the path, fear propelling our steps. The screams stopped as abruptly as they had started, leaving us with a chilling silence. My family member, shaken to the core, explained what had happened. The man's threat, the screams in the distance, it was a chilling combination that left us both shaken. Later, we learned of a murder in the woods, the victim a woman, her body discovered near the spot where we had heard the screams. The connection between the man on the train tracks and the murder remains a mystery, a chilling chapter in our lives, a reminder that even the most familiar places can hold unexpected dangers. This happened a few years ago, when I was working a dead-end office job, and the daily commute was the only thing keeping me sane. One evening, as I made my way home from work, the train journey took a sinister turn. A group of guys, their behavior unsettling, sat a few rows down from me. One guy, in particular, kept inching closer, his body language sending shivers down my spine. I tried to ignore him, but the feeling of being watched wouldn't go away. When the train pulled into my station, I made a beeline for the exit, eager to escape the creepy atmosphere. But my ordeal was far from over. The group of guys had followed me, their drunken taunts turning into threats. I sprinted towards my car, parked in the farthest corner of the lot, my heart pounding in my chest. As I fumbled with my keys, one of the guys lunged at me, his hands reaching out to grab me. Adrenaline kicked in, and I managed to unlock my car and slam the door shut, just as he reached for the handle. Terrified, I screamed, the sound echoing through the empty parking lot. Thankfully, a few people had witnessed the commotion and were coming to my aid. The guys, realizing they weren't going to get their way, retreated, disappearing into the night. I spent the next few minutes shaking uncontrollably, the fear slowly subsiding. The encounter left me rattled, the memory of those menacing figures burned into my mind. I never saw them again, but the incident left a lasting impact on my life. I started working out, building strength and confidence, a way to cope with the fear and vulnerability I had experienced. That night changed me, forcing me to confront my own fears and vulnerabilities. It was a harsh lesson, but one that ultimately made me stronger. This happened a few years ago, when I was working a typical 9-to-5 job. One evening, as I made my way home, the train station became the backdrop for a terrifying ordeal. I was waiting for my friends, the usual post-work routine, when a man caught my eye. He looked harmless enough at first, but as he approached, something about him felt off. He started talking, his words slurred, his demeanor increasingly unsettling. I tried to be polite, but his persistence grew, his grip on my arm tightening with each passing second. Panic set in as I realized I was trapped, unable to break free from his grasp. The train arrived, offering a glimmer of hope. I struggled against his hold, my voice barely a whisper. Thankfully, my friends arrived just in time, their presence breaking the stalemate. The man, realizing his game was up, let go and boarded the train, disappearing into the crowd. I was shaken to the core, my heart pounding in my chest. The encounter left me feeling violated, the memory of his touch a constant reminder of the danger that lurks in the shadows. It took me a long time to overcome the fear, to regain a sense of normalcy. But the experience taught me a valuable lesson, to trust my instincts, to be aware of my surroundings, and to never let my guard down. Love these stories? Listen to these true trucker scary stories. Click on the video on your screen.